Hey folks, so Enfield just released a gameplay demo about a day ago, I believe, and I really wanted to sort of sink my teeth into that and share some of my thoughts. I already watched this demo, so probably towards the middle or the end of it, I'll probably be skipping around a little more, just as I want to get to some talking points. So, first things first, a couple things I really like so far are the sort of general aesthetic that it has going on. It graphically looks a lot nicer compared to what they had in the technical test and the technical trailers, and of course we have the other characters in your party sort of following you around. We can see Perlica and Chen and Wolfgang sort of just trailing behind as the administrator here kind of rushes forward. And something I want to bring up, I really dig the sort of vibe that they have going on. Of course, anime aesthetic, but then also having the sort of grittier elements, like having the actual buildings, water stained here from brainstorms of the passage of time. It just looks really good. And of course, inside of here, the actual indoors, the kind of futuristic insides that they have going on is gorgeous. I was already a fan of Arknights aesthetics originally, and just having that brought into a 3D environment and having it done very well like this is just gorgeous. I'm very excited to eventually get my hands on this, because it's been what, 2 years since we got the original teaser, and I think only a year now since the technical test, and I'm waiting. We can see here we of course have a stamina meter here, and once they get to the bottom of this ramp, they'll actually open up the menu. And compared to the one we saw a year ago, I think it's a lot cleaner and a lot more visually appealing. The same with the character menu here. It is gorgeous what they have going on, and we can see here, and we'll see it more with Chen as well. There are transitions from going from your just main character menu to your weapon to your gear, and we can see that they are also going through or instead of using the traditional Arknights leveling system of your regular levels, then your Elite 1, and then your Elite 2. They seem to be going with a level cap, and then once you hit your level cap, you have a way to ascend past that. Of course, we can also see you have weapons that you level up, and then gear, kind of popularized by Genshin. I'll move forward to where Chen is. Yeah, you can see every single tab that they flip between is a new animation to play between, which is fantastic. I think Zenless and Zero did that as well. And I'll skip ahead to where they start, actually. Because they also, what's nice about having your characters with you when you're exploring the overworld is that they actually seem to help you with not only fights, obviously, but also with gathering resources, as you can see here. I think they'll get into combat in just a second here, if I recall correctly. Yeah. So I think my biggest problem when I did play Genshin was the fact that you have 4 members in your party, but they don't really do much outside of your active character. And I really love the fact that Hypergryph decided to go the route of having all of your characters kind of assisting in the fight at the same time. It really adds that extra level, an extra layer to the combat, I find. And just that extra feeling of kind of camaraderie between your characters. We can see here, obviously, I'll go back just a second here, but everybody seems to be applying their own sort of debuffs with Wolfgang's fire. Perlica was dealing probably paralysis, and then sort of that physical affliction that Chen and probably the administrator are applying. Of course, we also have character chatter. It seems from Perlica here. Another thing that we did see in a previous trailer was the sort of base building we have going on, as well as fast transitioning between the power lines. It's really interesting to see the factories on such a large scale here. And I'm wondering how it seems very sort of simple to put together there. But I'm interested to see like how exactly it'll feel to put it together. I'm very interested in the actual like factory building and how in-depth you can get with that. Up ahead, I believe they run for a little bit before we get to a sort of fissure in the ground. And it's interesting to see that you can just kind of plop down a power line anywhere, and then they attach a couple of turrets to it to actually help out with the combat at the fissure here. Like, you can see the sort of Tesla pylon and then an actual just automated turret there. And this seems to be a fissure kind of like the ley lines in Genshin, where you can blade a few waves of enemies, and afterwards you get a chest at the end of it. Yeah, so we go to the male administrator there, and the fucking locale for this is gorgeous. Like, I'm a really big fan of the sort of East Asian terrain. The East Asian kind of rainforest and everything here. And we'll see a bit further ahead. There's not really any combat in this demo. They kind of go around and just walk the paths. And this place, this bamboo forest, looks gorgeous. We'll skip a bit further ahead. You can see here we are entering a sort of facility, and we have another. Of course, we have like computers here, probably a little bit, tidbit of lore. At the top of this ramp, it seems we have an arena for a. I'll back up a little here. We seem to have an arena for a boss. Once again, like, the closest comparison I have is Genshin. I don't really like play Genshin that much. At least like after its initial release. But like most of the close comparisons I have are to Genshin, just because it's sort of the go-to we have for a 3D action RPG with like gacha elements, right? And of course, there's obviously other games, open world action RPGs in a similar vein, kind of like Dragon's Dogma, with the pawn system instead of your party members here. And here, like, it's interesting to see the water pipe in. So like another sort of layer of management, and then having your different fluids kind of like satisfactory, where you need to be kind of moving your fluids. We have a couple buffers there full of different fluids that seem to be inactive. And then towards the back here, this is another sort of section where you can see that other people in your party will help you with tasks around the world. We saw earlier with the ore collecting on the map here, and we see now where they're helping you plant plants and then getting them watered. And I think after just a little bit of ziplining on the power lines here, we get to another settlement. Yeah. And like, I don't know, I'm kind of speechless because it just looks so good. Once again, going through the wilds, and I think we're at, oh, okay, no, we're into our sort of dormitory section here. And you can see we have kind of a hydroponics bay on this side. I'll actually go back a little bit because we do catch a glimpse of Angelina, or I think, her name is what? Gilbert? Gilberta in Enfield. I'll be going over some of the characters as well, or the character users we have as well. Once we're finished watching this, we can see here we're interacting with, I can't remember her name, the sarcasm lady. And it seems like we're telling her to go, or the administrator there is telling her to go take a break. And it's nice seeing like all of your operators actually kind of walk from point A to point B, because we'll see her later once we're done in this room here. And you can see, you know, we're kind of interacting. This would be our actual production zone. Kind of like the factories in base Arknights dormitories. And you can see just here, like all of your... Actually, I'll go forward just a little more. But you can see here we have Chen kind of walking around. I think we just had the Sancta on the right there, if I'm not mistaken. Or is that Wolfgang? Yeah, I think that was Wolfgang. Yeah, you can see like they're kind of just wandering around the Rhodes Island equivalent, and you can actually talk and just give gifts to them to increase your affinity with them. And I'm wondering if the affinity will have a similar role to play in Enfield as it does with just regular Arknights, where it will provide a stat boost up to 100, and then co-op sort of stat boost from 100 to 200, as well as like some more lore. And this shot is just gorgeous, like revealing that the sort of Enfield Industries land ship is not a land ship, rather a spaceship, kind of watching over presumably Talos 2 here. And we can see here the sort of base they have going on with the bridge and then the hydroponics. I'll actually pause that there. With the bridge here, the hydroponics, the sort of two factors, and the center we just passed through. And the ability to assign at the bottom there. I think that's it for the trailer here. We pass by Perlica and then go take a seat at the console here. Yeah. Something else I want to go over is all of the operator entries we have here. So we can see, obviously, we have our administrators. Both of their introductions are the same. I'm going to turn that off. Of course, we have data missing for the race. They look pretty human, so I'm wondering if it's going to be the similar, or in a similar situation to the Doctor, where they are sort of a predecessor. Obviously, we have Perlica. Was I calling him Wolfgang? I feel bad for calling him Wolfgang. But we have Chen, who is our kind of lung representation. We had Perlica, which was our Liberi representation. We have Wolfgard, who's our Lupo. I'm pretty sure he was using a greatsword previously, and now we have him using guns. And I swear I saw somewhere on Twitter somebody was calling him Red Vigil, which I completely agree with. We have Depan, whose vibe is immaculate. We have Lifang, which is Anasa. I think we only have one Anasa in base. I can't remember the operator's name. She's a ring sniper, if I recall correctly. Zaihi was the sarcasm lady. Of course, we also have the Sancta, and the ones I am mostly looking forward to. We have the Karanta Arclight here. I'm mostly looking forward to seeing what happens with the Rhodes Island ops. Because we have different names for them. I'm wondering if they're going under different code names or if they are going to be technically different people. If I recall correctly, in the first technical test, when people looked at Angelina's lore, it said she was a clone. Uh, Although they seem to be not going with that anymore. At least it doesn't say anything about her being a clone within here. We still get a mention of Warfare in here. Uh, so I'm wondering why they changed the name. Either like I feel like it's probably just a different code name while working under Enfield compared to Rhode Island. We also have Aurora here, obviously. Fantastic to see her again. Not who I was expecting, but certainly a welcome surprise. Once again, of course, we have Surtur here. Fantastic to see her. Fantastic to see still loves ice cream. Um, once again, I'm just interested to see if they're still going with a cloning story because Enfield is supposed to take place, I think, like maybe 500 years in the future compared to where we are right now in Arknights. We have a few more. We have Hoover. I can never pronounce the name. We have Dragon Lady or the Drake Lady representation with the gamer. And then we also have the rabbit. Regardless, I'm very excited to see where we get with Enfield. I'm very excited to see when it releases. I'm hoping soon. Major cope here. Because what? It's been 2 years since we got our first teaser, right?
Last thing I want to go over is the beta test trailer, just because it kind of encapsulates everything I enjoy about Arknights. I do have the audio muted just because UMG, but like you have such beautiful just set pieces, backdrops, either the CGs in the original or like the set pieces that are showing off in the trailer here, and the characters. I'm super excited to see everybody back again with Surtur and Aurora and Angelina, and I'm wondering if they're going to be bringing anybody else back. And I'm excited to see what the new characters bring to the table because I find the characters in Arknights and the story in Arknights to be extremely well written. And it's just kind of a series that I've fell into and fallen in love with. And I'm just excited to see where it goes. And if you want to join me on the journey, I'd appreciate it if you hit like and subscribe. I hear those buttons help. And yeah, I'll probably have another video up in the next couple of weeks just doing and talking about regular Arknights. And I hope to see you around. Have a good one.